Hier ist die neue Folge der Ökonomie-Videos.
All right, welcome to The Explainer. You know, the crypto world can feel huge, right? Super complicated. So today, instead of getting lost in all the jargon, we're going to do something different. We're going to map it out like a family tree, starting with the one single ancestor that kicked this whole thing off. And that's the big question, isn't it? If Bitcoin started it all, what came next? I mean, it feels like this total chaos of thousands of coins and tokens all screaming for your attention. But what if I told you that underneath all that noise, there's actually a pretty simple family tree? And that's what we're going to do right now. We're going to build it together, one branch at a time.
Okay, so every family tree has to start somewhere, right? With a common ancestor. And in the world of crypto, that story really begins and, well, kind of ends with one name, Bitcoin. You can think of it as the original genetic blueprint for everything, and I mean everything that came after.
So let's look at the timeline. The idea for Bitcoin pops up in 2008, and the network itself goes live in 2009. But for a few years, honestly, it was a pretty lonely family tree. Just Bitcoin, all by itself. It wasn't until about 2013 that things really started to get interesting. And why? Because Bitcoin's code was open source. Its DNA was just out there for anyone to see, to copy, and to tweak.
And this is such a key point. It's why Bitcoin is way more than just the first crypto. It was the recipe, the open source blueprint that laid down all the fundamental rules. So it wasn't just a branch on our family tree, it was the trunk, the whole darn thing.
Okay, so once that genetic code was out in the wild, it was really only a matter of time before the first, well, let's call them children, started to appear. These are the direct descendants, born right from that original Bitcoin blueprint. Now, how do these new relatives come to be? It's through something called a fork. It's a great name for it, actually. Just picture a road splitting in two. They share the same history up to that point, but from that moment on, they follow a new set of rules and basically forge their own path.
And a perfect example of this in the real world happened back in 2017. There was this huge debate in the Bitcoin community. The big argument was about how to make transactions faster. One side said, nope, we got to keep things small for security. The other side said, no way, we need bigger blocks to handle more traffic. They just couldn't agree. So what happened? The chain forked. And just like that, Bitcoin Cash was born. A super close relative, but with a totally different philosophy.
So you might be asking, why even bother creating a fork? Well, it all comes down to experimentation. Developers saw Bitcoin's core DNA and thought, what if we just tweak this one little thing? Maybe they wanted to increase the block size for faster transactions, or change the total number of coins that could ever exist, or hey, maybe even create all the coins right at the start instead of mining them over time. Each one of these little changes created a new variation, a new flavor, based on the original. But then, around 2014, something completely new showed up on the scene. And this wasn't just another small variation. This was a massive, revolutionary leap forward. It wasn't like a cousin showing up. It was like a whole new species of cryptos suddenly appearing.
And this quote right here, it really gets to the heart of it. The person behind Ethereum, Vitalik Buterin, he wasn't trying to just make a better Bitcoin, a better form of digital money. No, he saw the blockchain as something much, much bigger. A single global computer that anyone, anywhere could use. I mean, that is a fundamentally different idea. And check this out. This comparison really shows you what that new idea meant in practice. With Bitcoin, a new block of transactions gets added to the chain about every 10 minutes. On Ethereum, it's about 13 times seconds. And that incredible jump in speed isn't just about sending money faster. Oh no, it's about having enough power to actually run programs on the network.
So what was the secret ingredient that made this all possible? It's this thing called a smart contract. And really, all it is a little piece of code. Think of it like a digital if-this-then-that recipe that just runs automatically on the network, no middleman needed. And that one invention, that single idea, transformed the blockchain from just being a simple ledger for money into a programmable world computer.
Okay, so now you have this world computer. What can you actually do with it? Well, this is where it gets crazy.
Suddenly, developers could build all sorts of stuff right on top of the network. They could create brand new crypto tokens without having to build a whole new blockchain from scratch. They could certify ownership of unique digital things. You know them as NFTs. They could even build something like an insurance policy that automatically pays you the instant your flight gets canceled. Game-changing stuff.
All right, so while all this crazy, rapid evolution is happening with Ethereum, there's another branch of the family that was quietly growing to solve a totally different problem, but it was a really, really important one. Those wild, unpredictable price swings. I mean, let's be real. The prices of Bitcoin and Ethereum are famous for being all over the place. That's great if you're a trader, but it's not so great if you just want to, buy a cup of coffee without the price changing while you're in line. So there's a new branch of the family. It aimed for the complete opposite: stability, predictability. And the way they did it was with this invention called the stablecoin. It's pretty much what it sounds like. It's a crypto that's specifically designed to have a stable price. And it does that by being pegged or tied to a real-world currency, usually the US dollar. The whole idea is that one stablecoin should always be worth $1. Simple as that. Now, what's really fascinating here is where this idea even came from. You might think it came from the Ethereum world, but nope. This branch actually grew out of technology that was first built to try and improve Bitcoin itself. Back in 2012, people were working on these things called side chains to help Bitcoin handle more transactions. And it was on one of those early side chains that the very first stablecoin was launched in 2014, a coin that you've probably heard of today called Tether.
Okay, so we've traced all these different branches. Let's step back and put it all together. What does our final crypto family tree actually look like?
It really does lay out a clear evolutionary path, right? You start with the single ancestor, Bitcoin. That gives birth to its direct descendants, the altcoins, which are basically just small genetic tweaks. Then, boom, a huge evolutionary leap gives us a whole new generation, Ethereum, which then becomes a platform for its own family of apps and tokens. And running alongside all of this, you have that parallel branch, the stablecoins, which evolved for one reason: stability, not speculation.
So there you have it, a clear framework to help you map out crypto's past and present. But you gotta remember, this story is nowhere near finished. This family tree is constantly growing new branches, often in ways nobody expects. Which really just leaves one big question, doesn't it? What's gonna sprout next?